Hey, what's up? TEMITOPE here. Happy New Year. Happy January. January 2025. I think in 2020, we weren't sure how we were going to make it to 2025, but we did make it. Like these birds, we're flying free. Caca, caca. We're in Nolensville, which is about 10 minutes from my house in Smyrna. This is one of my wife and I's favorite areas. It's very beautiful, very chill. When we moved here, it was much more like farmland and had a lot more open spaces, but like many places in the US, many people have discovered the beauty of Nolensville and have come in and it's starting to get built up, but we still love the area. And maybe one day we will live in Nolensville and own a cow or something, or some sheep, or some Sherpas, or some llamas, I don't know. It's a new year, right? So we're all thinking of New Year's resolutions, and I get it. You know, it's like new year, new start, new me. Makes sense. I'm actually not thinking of resolutions though. I'm thinking of Mount Everest. That's right. Mount Everest that you could find in the Great Himalayas in Asia. The mountain, right? I was thinking about the first person to climb Mount Everest. There's a guy named Edmund Hillary and his Sherpa, who I'm gonna forget his name, so I'm gonna look at it real quick. Tenzing Norgay. They were the first people to climb Mount Everest on May 29th, 1953. Now what I think is interesting about Mount Everest is before Edmund and his Sherpa guide, Tenzing, had climbed Mount Everest successfully, there's about 14 to 15 people who tried to do it beforehand, right? So all the way up until 1953, people knew Mount Everest existed and they were trying to summit it, but no one did it until a New Zealander did it. After they climbed it, over 6,000 people have tried to climb Mount Everest. About 310 people have died and many have successfully summited. But what's interesting to me is it points out the fact that sometimes people have to see it to believe it. You know what I'm saying? You have to see someone do something before you know what's actually possible to get done. And that made me think about the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 5 verses 14 to 16. This is what it says in the book of Matthew. It says, "You are the light of the world." You referring to us, the church. "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Jesus came, Jesus died, and resurrected so that we might find new life in Him. We've been brought from darkness to light. We've been brought from death to life. And now we have the blessed opportunity of not just keeping that light to ourselves, but to allow that light to be shown to the world. Kind of like this church here. These churches have steeples, right, to point out for communities, hey, this is a place you can find healing. This is a place that you can find hope. They're like a beacon for communities. Well, we are supposed to be a steeple, right? We, the church, aren't supposed to just point to our physical steeples, but in our being, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our friend groups, in our communities, we're supposed to let our light shine and to show a lost and hurting world that transformation actually can happen. Just like Edmund and his Sherpa guide were the first people to show people, hey, Mount Everest is a huge mountain, but it's not insurmountable. You can summit it. We are showing people through our lives that yes, though we were once lost in sin, though we once were children of darkness, because of Jesus, the chasm or the mountain between us and God has been bridged, and there is a way for us to be made right. So the way we are supposed to walk and talk is supposed to be different. The way that we gather as communities with people who look like us and don't look like us, people who think like us and don't think like us, vote like us and don't vote like us, how we gather together and show the world that we can be different, that's how they discover that this light, that is Jesus, like we talked about earlier, the light in Isaiah that draws the nations and brings salvation to the nations. We show that that light really does do those things. So at the beginning of a new year, my challenge for you and for me and for us together is to be that light and to let the world know that there is hope, there is light, and there is a new way of being and actually living in an abundant life through Jesus. On January 10th, I'm gonna be releasing a new song that's actually echoes that heart. It's called Resurrection Here, and it's talking about how Jesus came, died, and resurrected so that we could also die to ourselves and be resurrected into new life with him. And what I love about what Jesus offers us, he says, I've come that you might have life and have abundant life. That means he's offering life to anything in our life that maybe once was dead and once was dormant. So there are, of course, things in our life like our sin and bad habits and patterns that need to stay in the grave, but Jesus is calling out the goodness in us. You know, when he created the world and he made mankind, he said it is good, and sin got in and distorted it, but Jesus is resurrecting that good, and he's resurrecting the good in your marriage, in your relationships, the good in your life. And so that's what Resurrection Here is about. It's coming out on January 10th. I hope you listen to it, and then later in the month, January 31st, another song is coming, because why not? Let's just put out as much music as possible. Let's give it out like Oprah in cars and books, you know? So January 31st, another song is coming out. It's called Crucified with Christ. Again, it's talking about just leaving what was dead. Christ came not to make bad people good, but to make dead things alive. And so we leave what was dead in the grave. We leave it crucified on the cross with Christ, our sin, our shame, all those things, and we walk in that abundant life that he offers. So with those two songs coming out, I want to encourage you, please make sure that you pre-save and that you pre-order. Do all the things that you need to do to make sure that you are notified when those songs come out. Again, January 10th and January 31st. January 10th, Resurrection Here. January 31st, Crucified with Christ. If this message that I've shared with you has encouraged you, if this ministry that you're a part of and that we're building together has been an encouragement to you, can I ask you to continue to share posts on social media so that people can be introduced to me and this ministry that we are building together. Your support is what fuels everything that we do. And you might have caught it on the last vlog, but I am releasing 18 songs this year, which is a little wild, but I think we can do it. Ben's ready, Nick's ready, Carrie's ready, Kiara's ready. We can do it. We're doing 18 songs, and more than ever, we need your prayers, we need your support. So thanks for being along for the journey. Cannot wait to see what 2025 brings, and I hope that we continue to live as light in a very dark world.